and the CCP. And Biden's people will be told to go along whatever decisions the grown-ups
Don't make no noise. I'm going to be recording here in a second.
And that's the angle. Joining me now is retired Army Colonel Doug MacGregor, Senior Fellow at the American Conservative. Colonel, what's your reaction when you hear top generals like Milley say there was no intel that would indicate that Afghanistan would fall so fast?
Well, it's complete and utter nonsense. Anybody who's spent any time on the ground in Afghanistan will tell you that more than half the soldiers are illiterate. As you pointed out earlier, they swim in a sea of corruption. The notion that this army was going to hold up for any length of time without a significant American military presence on the ground and a significant American military presence in the air is ludicrous nonsense. He's not telling the truth.
Colonel MacGregor, I heard today from someone who was en route to Doha that they're not even really sure there were really, in the end, 300,000 Afghan soldiers. And I'm sure you've heard the same thing, that a lot of that money left the country a long time ago, and that money was shelled out by the Americans to fund this. And we don't even have a good handle on where those billions of dollars went. Are you concerned about that?
Well, at this point, it's academic, unfortunately. We never had more than 60,000 Afghan troops on the ground on any given day in the place for the reasons that you've already cited. The tragedy here is that much of this strategic withdrawal could have gone very differently. We actually know how to conduct strategic withdrawals. You put a covering force in with superior firepower. You have forces on the ground that are there to protect American citizens until they're out. And no one leaves on the military side until all the citizens have been evacuated. And you have mobile forces, helicopter-borne infantry, air mobile infantry. You also should have some armor on the ground to make approaching the airfields impossible. We know how to do these things. We know how to pre-position aircraft and logistics and medical support. None of this was done. And these are things that we teach, Laura, in the staff colleges. What are these people doing? What is Milley doing? What's the Secretary of Defense doing? What has General McKenzie, the CENTCOM commander, done?
Well, Colonel MacGregor, we do know earlier this year a lot of their time had been spent on the stand down of our forces to examine potential U.S. extremism within the ranks after January 6th. So they were focusing on a threat to America, but their focus is on any Trump supporters or people who are, a little questionable on the politics, it seems, and didn't have their eye on the prize of how the hell we were going to get out of Afghanistan.
Well, we have the most expensive military establishment in the world, and the American people are getting a glimpse of it right now, and it's not good. I don't think this force is ready to do much of anything. And unfortunately, the corruption and the rot runs very deep. You remove McKenzie, remove Milley, there are 20 more versions of those people standing in line waiting to take over. These are political lapdogs who've cultivated political friends to reach 4 stars in order to enrich themselves in retirement. These people are a disaster. This is the tip of the iceberg, and Americans need to understand that because it's going to get worse from here.
A friend of mine who's retired military today said, do Americans realize we haven't won a war outright for 75 years, 77 years? And that's...
Yeah, and it's not the fault of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, or Marines.
Now, they're
amazing. The people who lead and run the place are the problem.
A BBC journalist, Colonel, reported today that the Afghan ambassador in Tajikistan says that Afghanistan's that so-called president, Ashraf Ghani, that he actually escaped the country with $169 million US in bags when Kabul was falling. I mean, we don't have verification of this, but I mean, given what we saw with the cash leaving Iraq, wheelbarrows full of cash just wasted in Iraq, I guess no one would be surprised.
Well, these are the wonderful people that General Petraeus and General Dempsey and General Allen and General Mattis, ranks of senior officers, 4 stars, have been telling us are wonderful, are doing a brilliant job. Yes, they've done a brilliant job. They've taken us to the cleaners, and the American people lost trillions of dollars. The bad news, Laura, is that I doubt seriously that anyone will be held accountable. And we need to remember, where there is no accountability, there is also no performance. And what you're seeing today, no performance.
And the sad thing is when you meet these young men and women in our military academies. A friend of mine's son just graduated OCS at Quantico last weekend. And these are just amazing young men and women. They deserve better than this, do they not?
Oh, absolutely. The people that are general officers right now overwhelmingly are unworthy of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that they command. Let's be honest.
Colonel MacGregor, fantastic conversation with you tonight. Thank you. And it's frightening